Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing well and having a nice weekend. Today's video is gonna be kind of a more chilled out video. We're just gonna chat a little bit about shopping. The holiday season is approaching and Black Friday and just whatsoever, like the season of sales, the season where people just go crazy buying and so on. So I thought it was a good time to kind of chat a bit about smart shopping and just not overdoing it, especially when it comes to clothing. That's kind of like at least where my weak point is. I used to be way worse when it comes to budgeting regarding clothes shopping in general, but I've become better, and I followed like some tips and that I would like to share today with you, because I think that it's just like important to just not overdo it given the current state of the economy and the current state of like our climate and so on. It's just there are so many factors that are just so important to keep in mind in the ages where or in the time that we live in. So I just thought that it's like nice to chat a little bit about these things. But yeah, let's just jump right in, and I would say that the first tip that I would give is to just not follow trends as much as possible. I know that it's like very difficult, especially for people that are let's say interested in fashion or that are active on social media and so on. You are kind of like slapped in the face every day with 100,000 of Instagram photos of influencers showing you so many new trends, and that's just how cool it is to be trendy and so on. But I've just like learned to kind of follow my instinct when it comes to shopping, and just generally when it comes to my style. There are things that just don't fit to my style, and I just prefer not to go directly and buy them just because they are cool and trendy on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. I know that that is very difficult. I used to struggle with that so much, that like I used to kind of hoard on so many clothes, and my closet was kind of like exploding because it was just trendy, and sometimes I was just like wear the pieces once, or in the worst case scenario they would still have the tag on and they were never worn and they were still staying there, and then at a certain point I either was just throwing them away, was giving them away, maybe selling them in the best case scenario, and that's just not worth it because it just clutters your space, and it just also just like your mind, and the whole thing just kind of has like this kind of like domino effect. And so like for me personally, I try to stick to my style. And of course that's difficult when you are still evolving your style, and you also need to experience and to experiment a lot regarding that. But I just feel that for people that know that, for example, they are way more into a classier style, they like more neutral clothes and so on, they don't need to, I don't know, hop on the green trend or whatever trend is going on Instagram and TikTok, but just like stick to your style. And of course I always say that when you're young it's like difficult because you, as I said, you want to experiment and so on. But just try to be very mindful of the trends that you are following, and just maybe try to see a little bit more forward, in the sense of like, is this trend going to last, or is this just going to be for a couple of months and then it's going to disappear and no one will ever talk about it, and then I just bought, I don't know, 3-4 pieces with or connected to this trend, and they're just going to stay there in my closet because it's just not cool anymore to wear them. So just like be a little bit more let's say forefront regarding like, okay, this is a trend that I like and I think that I'm gonna wear it regardless if it's gonna stay with us or not. The next step would be to create an inventory of your closet before you go out shopping, or before you are thinking of kind of like adding pieces to your closet. I think that's also something that I always used to overlook. I would just like go and just see something that I liked, and I was like, okay, this is like nice, I like it, I'm just gonna get it, and then I would just put it in my closet, where there would even be cases where I had already similar pieces but I just forgotten about them because they were somewhere like hidden into my closet. And that's just like, I think, a great tip, because it saves you a lot of money, in the sense that like if you want to buy like a pair of jeans, for example, and you already have 3 pairs of black jeans, you already have enough blue jeans and so on, but you're just like, this black jeans look cool, but then you already have something similar in your closet, so why would you need to add now a very similar piece, so that's just like, I think, a great tip, just to kind of like overlook a little bit like what is in your closet already, what is maybe missing in your closet, and maybe just start investing in those pieces. which also links to the next tip, that is kind of like buy pieces or buy pieces of clothes that are kind of already complementing what you already have in your closet. That being said, buy pieces that are easily combinable with what you have, or pieces that are kind of filling those gaps that you don't have in your closet. For example, I am not the biggest fan of like shirts and so on, but since I am working, for example, or I have an office job, I needed to kind of add some pieces already in my closet. And so what I did is just kind of went through all the shirts that I have, and I noticed, okay, I don't have a black shirt, for example, and that's just something that I needed to buy. So I just went and bought a black shirt, although there were so many other beautiful variations of white shirts and other cool shirts, which I already had. So I didn't need to buy that one. And of course, like, it's a different discussion if you already have like overworn pieces or pieces that definitely look very, very old, then yes, it's the case to maybe buy a new one. But other than that, just try, you know, to also find pieces that kind of create like this capsule wardrobe, in the sense that you just go and you choose pieces and they're just very easily combinable with one another. That's definitely like a goal for me, like in the future. I have already started to implement that, but it's definitely difficult. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's like a nice thing when, you know, you have to go out and maybe you don't have as much time to think, but you just know that whatever pieces you have in your closet, they're just going to be like very easily combinable. And that's not always translate to having only neutral pieces and so on. I also have very colorful pieces in my closet, but I know that I can just easily combine them, for example, with very neutral trousers or jeans and so on. So it's just like, you know, being mindful of what you already have and kind of filling those gaps that you have in your wardrobe. The next tip is also definitely to buy more neutral pieces. I'm not saying that everyone should follow one style, that being that of like this neutral clean looks that we also see on Instagram and YouTube a lot. I'm not saying that that's just not for everyone, but I'm just saying that you need to have kind of some neutral pieces in your closet, because they are the ones that will create your outfits. That being said, you need to have, for example, those like black jeans or black trousers, or like blue jeans, and I don't know, very simple maybe knits and so on. You know, these are just like things that you don't need to have a full-on neutral outfit, but you just need to have some pieces that will just make it easy for you kind of to combine them with the rest. As I said before, I already have, for example, very, very colorful pieces in my closet. I have very vibrant pieces in my closet, but I know that I can just like put, for example, one of these like vibrant knits on with a pair of very neutral trousers, and that's just not gonna be like overwhelming, you know, like the whole outfit, the whole color combination is just not gonna be overwhelming. And that's just something that I find to be like very, very nice. Also, for example, when it comes to shoe wear, you know, like having a black pair of boots, for example, or just like, I don't know, very simple black loafers, for example. These are just things that, you know, like you can always just build on. And whatever style you have, I think that these are things that will definitely like help your closet and help you build on this like very clean outfits and just not overwhelm you as well. And with that being said, it's also important, I feel, to just invest like in very classic pieces, so things that just will never go out of style, no matter what age we live in and no matter what trends are coming and going on Instagram. These are things that are just gonna be there. And for example, I think the first example that comes to my mind is that of a trench coat, because for example, a trench coat has been with us for so many years, and it has always been this elegant classic piece that you can definitely create variations and alternatives from. You know, like in the old ages, or in, I would say, in the past, trench coats were normally worn, for example, with a suit underneath, and very elegant outfits, I would say. But nowadays we created variations of kind of like making or using a trench coat also with a pair of sneakers, for example, and just wearing, I don't know, joggings and so on, you know. So it doesn't matter how you wear it, but you have to have like these very classic pieces in your wardrobe that are just always gonna be there and just never going out of style. And as I said, a trench coat, you can just wear it year after year, and no one is gonna come to you and say, oh, you're wearing a trench coat, that's so outdated, you know. No one is gonna say that. So that's just like something that I really like to invest in: a good coat, a good blazer, you know, just like a nice pair of trousers, black pair of trousers, so on, you know, just like these classic pieces that are just always there kind of and are not going anywhere. I think also an important tip that I learned once I came to Switzerland is also to invest or to shop pieces for the season that is the longest in the country where you live, if that makes sense. So for example, in Switzerland we have a very long winter and we have kind of a shorter summer, with the exception of this year, in which, I mean, it's still like very very warm when I'm filming this video, but I'm just saying that generally speaking, there is a very long winter and there is then a very short summer. So if, for example, you would look at my closet, I would have a very thin, I would say, department only for summer clothes, because I know that I'm not going to be able to get the most out of summer clothes. So I have some t-shirts, I have some tops, I have some shorts, some skirts and so on, you know, just like very basic pieces. But I would say that like my summer wardrobe is not, you know, like over the top or so on, so it's not exaggerated. But then when you see it, my winter clothes, that's what kind of like fills the most out of my wardrobe. I have so many knits, I have coats, I have blazers, I have boots and so on. So these are just things that I know that I'm gonna use for the majority of the time, and these are just things that I also invest more in. So for example, I know that, I mean, I definitely like also buy things in summer, but I know that when the winter time comes, like I am always buying knits or boots and so on, because I just feel that these are the things that I'm definitely going to use more than anything else. So this is also maybe something that if you're living in a very warm country, then you probably have to invest in more like summery clothes, and the opposite if you're living in very cold and just more wintry countries, then you have to maybe invest in more like wintry pieces. And then moving on to kind of like the budgeting part of shopping, this is also something that I am trying to figure out. I am not coming here and saying to you like, hey, you know, that I have this plan here and if you follow it, you're going to be successful. That's just not going to be it, because it's definitely a learning and trialing thing, you know, to learn how to budget your expenses. But I think that what helped me the most, at least for a very long period of my life, was to kind of like create a budget and create kind of like a monthly budget that you are using for shopping. Be that, as I said, whatever your interest is. I'm talking here about clothes because normally I am just like more into like fashion, and this is something that I spent money on. But I think that for me, once I started to put a monthly budget for clothes, knowing that, okay, it's not that I don't need to buy anything for the whole month, but at least I have like this budget, and it's gonna stop, you know, it's gonna stop me from kind of like overdoing it, you know. Like for example, I'm just taking an example, if you are spending $100 or Swiss francs every month, you know that, you know, like for this month I only have $100 to spend, so I'm just gonna kind of like try to fit whatever things that I want or that I need in this budget that I have for this month. Saying that, I know that it's not easy, and sometimes there are periods when we are maybe spending a bit too much, or, you know, just like overdoing that budget, but then just be mindful of that and just try to compensate that the next month by saying that, like having a lower budget next month because you already kind of like bought more the previous month and so on. So that's just something that has helped me personally. I also use like an app on my phone where I kind of like record all my expenses, and I also put there, for example, like whatever things I buy that have to do like with clothing and so on, and I just see like, okay, this month was very good, I didn't even spend $100, maybe I spent nothing on clothes, but you know, like next month I can maybe just buy a little bit more if I see some stuff that I maybe want. But I think that just like budgeting is really really important, and that you need to start incorporating into your life, because it really really helps with the expenses and just having kind of an overlook on what is going on with your finances generally. And then my last tip, and that's something that used to trigger me like so much, and it still does, is kind of like following all this like fast fashion brands on Instagram, TikTok, or whichever like social media it is that you are active on. You know, I used to follow like all the fast fashion brands, to be honest. I used to follow Zara, H&M, whichever, you know, like I was always following them, and they are posting so much, you know, they are posting so much about like, you know, new things and new trends, and you're just like, oh, this looks cool and this looks cool, and you're just like, okay, I'm tempted, you know, you're always like tempted to go and buy. Like that's what fast fashion brands, and that's what marketing does. You know, it tempts you to just go to the store or go online and just buy stuff. And I think, of course, that online shopping has also just made everything worse, I feel, to kind of like, you know, have like this budget for you, and just generally just having a different attitude towards buying, because it's so much easier. Like, you're just laying on your bed or just sitting on your sofa and you're just scrolling and then you're just buying stuff. Of course, that has made everything worse, but for me, just like following on Instagram like so many of these like posts that used to just like bombard me every day, it was just like so difficult for me to stop myself from saying, no, I don't need anything else, you know, these are cool but I don't need them. You know, there is a difference between wanting and needing something, and you know, it's just like a very thin line, but it's very difficult to recognize. And of course that takes time, but I'm just saying that like it's very good and beneficial if you are just trying to step a little bit back from, you know, just following everything out there. Maybe you have also like noticed that in the past months or so, like the whole videos on my channel have kind of like decreased a little bit, because I just don't want to overspend so much on clothes. As I said, we are living in a very difficult economic phase. We are facing so many changes in our climate, and it's just not good. Generally, it's just not good to spend so much on these type of material things. You know, of course, I love fashion. I love being well dressed. I love having new pieces in my closet, but I also know that there is a limit, and I just feel like, you know, if you know your style and you know kind of your budgeting limits and so on, it just helps, you know, to just not overdo it. But yeah, these are kind of like my tips. These are things that have helped me personally to kind of have a better, I would say, consumerism, and just to have like a better consumer behavior. And I just hope that they help you too. I know that it's difficult because I struggle with that as well. And especially now that, as I said, the holiday season is approaching and Black Friday and so on, like it's definitely a difficult season to not spend. I know that, but I'm just saying that we just, if we just try a little bit to be a bit more mindful of the impact of what our kind of like shopping behavior has, then it's just, you know, it starts to make a lot more sense to not overspend on clothes. But yeah, being or saying that, you know, I am definitely not judging anyone that is like overspending at the moment, because it's so difficult. I struggle with that myself, but I just wanted to share these tips with you guys and hope that they help you. And yeah, let me know if you want me to make more similar videos regarding budgeting and all this stuff. That's like, I don't know, something that I like to talk about, generally speaking. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again next week with another video. Bye!